Hello viewers, this is Drusain and welcome to me talking for a few minutes about the channel and its future. I considered putting in some game footage into the background, but I've decided it would be inappropriate for this context, so this will essentially be a short podcast instead. If you want the longer transcript, I'm going to be adding this to the description, but the short version of what I'm saying is that I will no longer be uploading Let's Play content to the channel. But I do plan to upload what I'll be calling educational game content, where I'll be reviewing the basics of how games work and bring up popular games and analyze certain elements of what makes them work and what doesn't make them work. The longer story of this, the longer version of this story is starts now. So first of all, if you're watching this video and you've been a regular viewer, I owe you an apology. I owe you a very sincere apology. I know that I was providing content for you on a regular basis, and I know how it feels to be looking forward to the next video produced by someone whose content that you'd like to watch and expect to get more of it regularly, and then suddenly, you don't get any more content on the channel. And I know, I've been there, and for those of you who were regular viewers of this channel, I am taking the opportunity to make a sincere apology for getting gradually less active in uploading videos. But I do have to stress that my inactivity had nothing to do with those who watch or comment on the content, and I cherish every content, positive or negative, and it has absolutely nothing to do with any of you. So next, I'd like to talk a little bit about myself and why I wanted to make Let's Play videos on my channel in the first place. Around that time, and that was around 2011 and 2012, I was getting really fascinated by the idea that someone or multiple people can have the same product, as in a video game, but have several different narratives to tell and different opinions on the content based on what choices the player made. I started watching Let's Play videos, saw that people had different, entirely separate narratives in their gameplay, and depending on the choices that the player made. And this was a completely different phenomenon from what I knew from static media, like a book, as opposed to active media, like a game. And I was, at the time, starting my graduate school program, and almost every day I was thinking about the implications of what types of possibilities I could arrive at from knowing a little more about playing a narrative and learning how the choices in the game affected the game's story, and how my experience was different because of other people's choices. So that was the general purpose of why I wanted to make the Let's Plays videos that I did. I started with the 4th episode of The Silver Lining because I knew that there were other people making videos of it, and I wanted to watch them to see basically why other players would choose to do things that I did not, or vice versa. I generally was trying to work on my communication skills and my improvisation skills as well. Since I'm reading this reading off of this, not so good at improvising. In any case, that was why I started on the Monkey Island games. I wanted to play the game, see how much my choices mattered my choices differed from others, try to see how they did it and what they did, and see the feedback from my subscribers so that I could learn more about how people were generally trying to problem solve. Around that time, I was also studying about games as educational tools as one of the modules in one of my graduate classes. In general, I'd say that before 2008 and 2011, between those years, there was some discussion among academics saying that video games had a place in the classroom. But almost all of the research at the time was theoretical, and there was very few academic case studies that were done. Most academics, in fact, saw video games as a detriment to learning, and that gaming was generally ignored as an educational tool. At the time, there were some scholars who vocalized that video games had a place in the classroom. I read a lot of the works from people with great ideas about using video games as entertainment and educational tools, such as James Paul G., Michele Dickey, Brenda Laurel, Espen Aarseth, and plenty of others. But honestly, if you really, really want a good and enjoyable read about the basics of video games and education, I would highly encourage you to pick up any of James Paul G's books. He's a linguistics teacher. He watched his young son play video games and tried to use those games to incorporate his son's problem-solving skills, and realized, hey, there's actually a lot of potential for video games to help encourage problem-solving and complex learning. And he references modern games, games that most of us have heard of, and proposes how these games would be used for educational value. And every year after 2011, the academic world has, I feel, been giving more and more attention to finding ways to incorporate video games into career training and educational games, simulations, and classroom curricula. And I've spent a lot of time studying this information and ultimately have been fighting to make this the topic of my graduate program thesis. And that's what I'm doing right now. Did some work on it even earlier today. So my graduate thesis, in short, I'm finding what has and hasn't worked in the past for educational games in the classroom, combining that knowledge, that general knowledge anyway, that I know about video games and how they work and don't work, and I'm writing guidelines on how my take on how developers of educational games should consider designing future educational games. And it's been a hell of an uphill struggle, but I'm finally graduating with that project this spring semester. As I'm researching, I found a lot of really interesting information that I feel would be useful to point out in small little educational videos about video games, both popular games and both not popular games, and point out what I feel are good as small, entertaining game research studies. I don't really want to go into what I have in mind. This would be for the YouTube channel, of course, but the hope is that the videos would be both entertaining and educational. Now, I'd alluded to this plan a little bit in some of my previous videos, but I never really wanted to bring it up until now. The truth is, while I enjoyed doing Let's Play videos and comparing my content to the choices that other players made, I've pretty much learned what I want at this point. And as far as the channel, while I've had many opportunities to join networks and grow the channel into a bigger Let's Play channel, I had always politely declined. That's something I never talked about, but I got a few offers, but that's not really what I wanted to do. That was not really how I wanted to use my time for sharing information to others about video games. I wanted to provide interesting educational content and not so much content where I add commentary to someone else's work for money. That's why I never monetized my Let's Play videos. Sometimes I thought that I just do Let's Plays on my spare time, but at the point in 2014 and 2015, when I tried to do that with games like Broken Age and the Banner Saga and Dark Souls, I just didn't quite have the will for it. I also didn't want to just play a game, add commentary to it, and upload it to YouTube. That's not really what satisfies me. I wanted to do more than that, and every time that I added a video during those years, I just kept thinking to myself, this isn't really what I want to be doing for the channel, and that ended up in unfinished Let's Plays, which, again, I understand the frustration as a viewer about that, but I'm very sorry about it, but I hope this helps to explain a little bit about me and what I want to do and what I have in plan for the future of this channel. I have a plan of what my first video would be, my first few videos in fact actually, and I'd like to introduce it as a new series and a new type of content by entertaining video game studies on YouTube. I don't know exactly when I'll be doing that project, and it certainly won't be coming into fruition in the very near future, but I do plan to be more active with that content, and I'll most likely, actually, like pretty much definitely, will also be developing at the time a proper social media network, including a Facebook and a Twitter, and probably a written blog to supplement the information that I'm uploading with the video content, because it's not just going to be it's going to be important to show off the written work, not just the video. So, while again I apologize for disappearing, reappearing, disappearing, while I was at the time I was providing regular content for so many of you, I hope that you'll understand what I've been going through, and I hope that you're excited about what I plan to bring to the channel in the future. And if you have anything you want to talk to me about, please let me know in the comment, and I'll be happy to respond to you. Again, thanks for clicking and hearing me out, and I hope to talk to you in the future. Thank you.